Hey, it's Catherine at resinobsession.com, and today I want to talk to you about some basic mold making concepts. Now, I've already talked about some principles I like to follow, and I've linked to them in the description for this video to a post on our blog, but I actually want to show you with some mold making materials just some of the concepts that I'm talking about today. So when it comes to doing a basic mold, this is probably your most straightforward mold to make, and that is with a flat backed item. You can see with this cupcake how easy it is to make a mold. So the way this started is this went down in my mold cup. I poured the mold making solution on top, and so then when I demolded it, everything came out and I was able to pop the mold out. Pretty straightforward. Where I see people running into problems though is when you get something a little more complicated, say like this dinosaur. And what I see, or what I get emails about from frustrated customers, are that they tried to make the mold like this one. That's not going to work very well. So for this video, I'm actually going to walk you through doing it that way and show you why it's probably not your best choice for making a mold. Now, for the sake of this video, I will be using the composite mold reusable mold making material, and that's because this material, which we also sell on Resin Obsession, can be remelted and reused. So unlike silicone, I make a mistake with this stuff, I can reuse it. So that's what I'll be using today on this dinosaur. So let's go ahead and mold him. Okay, so my molding material has fully cured, and so I'm going to go ahead and peel it out of the mold box. Now, I will tell you from a technical point, I know this is only practice. If I was actually going to cast this dinosaur, I probably would have made sure to have a larger mold box. There's really not enough room between the top of the dinosaur's head and the top of the mold, at least not enough for me. I like to have plenty of room so that the bubbles have plenty of room to rise and stay on the top and hopefully won't affect the casting. So let's go ahead and take this out. Okay, there we go. So let's take a look at what we've got here. So we've got a big solid piece of the composite mold. Dinosaur is in it. Okay, now look here at the bottom. Basically, there's 3 contact places here at the bottom where the dinosaur contacted the bottom of the mold box. We've got here, here, and here. Okay, now hopefully you're already thinking what I'm getting ready to tell you, and that is, how are we going to get this dinosaur out? Okay, there's no way we can easily pop him out. So that's the first problem with doing something like him this way, is we don't have any way to get him out. So at this point, the only way I'm going to be able to get him out is to use a scalpel blade and cut the mold in half. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so you can see I've made a cut over the dinosaur, and we can see down to his chest that way. See, it opens up that way. But we still have the problem of we can't very easily get his legs out because his legs are still embedded in the composite mold. So now I'm going to have to make a cut down both of those ways to get his legs out. Okay, so now I'm down to his legs and his body. Now I'm going to have to take it all the way down to his head to try and get him out. Okay, so you can see I've had to make a really big cut to get this dinosaur out. So let's go ahead and get him out. All right, and you can see we've got a mold here. Okay, so from a technical aspect, something else you need to be worried about if you're using a scalpel or a razor blade or something sharp is when you go over your model, you have to be very, very careful because this will cut into your model. This is just like a little plastic dinosaur, so it doesn't take much to actually cut into him. I was very careful when I did this. So you see the challenges of getting him out. Now I'm hoping you see the challenges we'll face when we try and cast. So when we do this, one of the challenges of when you cut a model out and then bring it back together is you have to make sure it goes exactly back together. This is kind of an exaggeration, but if for some reason you got it back like that, you didn't have it quite back right, it's not going to cast properly. You're going to cast and you're going to have an edge that you're going to have to sand off. So the other challenge, assuming we get this back together, is we've only got 3 contact points to put in the resin. Okay, so we've got his foot here, and his foot here. And I don't know if you can see exactly how small they are, but you can see it's not even the width of my fingernail. And this hole back here is like, there's no way I'd be able to get resin in that. So I had thought that I could show you what would happen if we tried to cast this guy, but quite frankly, I think it would be incredibly tedious to cast him because what you need to do, because we cut this out, is you'll have to hold the mold back together with like a rubber band or a piece of tape or something to make sure it comes back together. And then we pour the resin in these holes. This would be so incredibly tedious to do that. I find it highly unlikely that you could get the resin to drip down in where it needs to go before it would start to solidify in the resin process. So unfortunately, this is sometimes what happens when you cast a piece and you're just not sure about what you're doing. And I think this picture kind of shows 1,000 words here on what went wrong and some other things. So the next video will show you how I would cast this as a 2-part mold and why it's easier to do it that way. So in the meantime, if you have any questions, leave them in the box below. If you get a minute, stop back by resinobsession.com. We've got a blog and a jewelry making forum, and we're happy to help you with your resin casting questions. Happy casting!